What is up, guys? Welcome back to Just the Guy on My Lunch Break talking fight, sports, just a little bit of house cleaning. Before we get started, if you could hit that subscribe button, it really helps the YouTube algorithm to push my content. I'm working really hard. That's the main thing I need for growth. I would very much appreciate it. So, I'm here to plead my case as to why only the second time in UFC history that the UFC is bringing a fighter from another promotion in for their first fight to be a title shot. Okay? Kai Asakura is coming to make his first UFC appearance, and it is against Alejandro Pantoja, who is obviously the flyweight champion. Okay? You have to go back as far to Brock Lesnar challenging Frank Mir for the heavyweight title to have seen this before. Okay? So that lets you know this is not commonplace for the UFC to do this. Why are they doing this? Here's a little secret. Mick Maynard wants a different champion. Dana White wants a different champion. Now, it is no secret that Pantoja is a boring fighter. Okay, most of his wins are by decision. He's a jock sniffer. He's mostly a grappler. And I think Dana is getting to the point where the tabloids are starting to get to him a little bit. You can go anywhere and read that people are just not high on Pantoja as a champion, okay? That includes myself. Here's the problem. It is well within the rule set to be a boring fighter. So unfortunately, they can't do anything to penalize him, and then they can't make him lose. But what they can do is bring in a star from Rising and also a rising star, no pun intended. But they feel like this guy is taller, be able to defend against the takedown. He's also very, very quick. They're hoping that he is going to, score some sort of knockout here, take the belt off of Pantoja, and then guess what? The flyweight division is great again. The flyweight division is exciting again. So that's what they're hoping for with this move, okay? Now you say to me, Corey, how do you know this? How do you know this? Maybe they're just trying to bring the Japanese eyeballs. Maybe they don't hate Pantoja. I'm not saying they hate him, but they don't want him as champion. How do I know that? Muhammad Mokaev. That's how I know that. So the first two things we're going to do is we're going to watch a short video of him speaking about the fact somebody from the UFC staff told him not to wrestle in his fight against Manel Kape, okay? Somebody. He didn't specify who that was, but then we're also going to watch Dana White, when he was asked the question about Muhammad Mokaev, completely shunned this, claimed that no one had told that kid that they don't tell guys how to fight or not to take people down. But of course, Dana didn't want to make himself or his staff or the UFC look bad, right? Because it prides itself in being an authentic, not fixed or scripted outcome for these fights, okay? And I do believe that is true. But with that said, they've got to do something about these boring champions, okay? The flyweight division is slowly dying because of Pantoja and his fighting style. And I did a whole video on that very thing just the other day. But the more I've thought about it, the more I realize that this is a strategically planned move by Dana White, Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard to get his boring ass out of that champion seat and get somebody in there who is going to satisfy the fans, who's going to be an exciting champion for the fans, okay? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to watch this video here by Mokaev. So check it out.
I heard some interesting things. I know you were in the media room before this. You had talked about the UFC said they might not re-sign you if you kept wrestling.
UFC, of course, it's a big business. They want show, they want highlights, and they want they want to cut flyweight division at some point. And I needed good performance. That's why I try to do something like some with kicks, bring some money to UFC. But I try my best. Every fight, I think I build up. I'm still 23 years old. I'm gonna be 24 in a couple of days. And apart from John Jones, I think I'm only young, ranked fighter right now.
Okay. So he clearly says right there, Okay, now he's alluding to something that he had said earlier, but he claims that somebody from the UFC, hinting strongly that it was one of the matchmakers, told him not to wrestle. Muhammad Mokaev is 13-0. This young man said that he would fight for free in the UFC. His dream was to be a UFC champion. I find it very hard to believe that Muhammad Mokaev, that he would have made up the fact that somebody told him not to wrestle. I think if he said that, now I think it was foolhardy and naive of him, just being a young kid that doesn't know how the business works, to say it in public in front of the cameras where the whole world could hear it. That was dumb, okay? But he's a young kid. He didn't know any better. But I can guarantee you, this kid is not lying. Someone did say that to him. Why would one of UFC staffs encourage Muhammad Mokaev not to wrestle when they know good and well that that is predominantly what his game is, if they weren't trying to weed out the boring fighters, the boring fights? I'll wait. I don't need to wait because you guys aren't going to have an answer for that. We are seeing a change in the tide of the UFC. We are seeing the UFC trying to move away from these fighters that all they do is push you up against the fence. All they do is spend the whole fight trying to take you down. Pantoja, the end game for him, even when he throws punches or strikes, is always to drag you back down to the ground. And Dana White and Mick Maynard and all the matchmakers are tired of reading the tabloids, because when you have a boring champion, the sport becomes boring. God forbid somebody who's never seen the UFC before walks in on a Pantoja fight. They'll never want to watch the sport again. Next thing I want to do is look at Dana's rebuttal to this, and then we're going to go from there. So check it out.
Mokaev said that his contract is up, and someone at the UFC told him to stop shooting for these takedowns.
Yeah, that's what we tell guys. We tell guys how to fight. I'm sure one of the matchmakers said something to him or whatever, but the matchmakers aren't big fans of his for many different reasons.
But Mokaev is a guy that he'd want to bring back to the UFC because he said his contract is totally done.
He's not under contract anymore. I think the PFL is going to get a great undefeated guy. He's just a guy that did everything wrong and pissed these guys off. I wasn't involved in any of the stuff that happened with him, but you know, the matchmakers and Hunter were, and they weren't happy with him. They weren't happy with the way he acted. They weren't happy with a lot of things he did and said, and you know, yeah, I guess you can look back now and regret it, but you did it. You did it, and you put yourself in this position.
So obviously, Dana White denied that anyone ever told Muhammad Mokaev that. He makes the statement in there how, you know, you piss these guys off, blah, 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 blah. Come on, man. Come on. We have known for years there have been tons of fighters to piss off Dana, to piss off Mick Maynard, to piss off Hunter Campbell, Sean Shelby, Joe Silva. I mean, these guys have been pissed off plenty by fighters, okay? So I have a hard time believing that Muhammad Mokaev did or said something so horrible that they just completely let him go from the UFC. An undefeated 13-0 fighter, completely let go, okay? When you have journeymen in here that have lost 50% of their fights and are still just trucking right along. But there is an X factor here that people aren't looking at. Excitement, okay? They didn't have a problem getting rid of Muhammad Mokaev because he's what? He's a boring fighter, and he pissed them off, okay? So you can piss them off and stay, but you at least better be a crowd pleaser. You at least better be a fan favorite. You at least better be fun to watch if you're going to piss them off, okay? And I've been watching this sport since 1993. So I'm a hardcore fan. I believe with everything within me that the reason they are bringing in Kai Asakura to try to hopefully win this belt off of Pantoja is because the writing on the wall, they understand that everybody is looking at him as this boring champion, and it is hurting the sport. Let's be honest, guys. As much respect, I'm a former grappler. Okay, I come from that background, but I am the first person to admit, as a fan, Anybody would rather see two guys stand up and bang any day than roll around on the mat together. It's just not the most exciting aspect of the sport. It's not against the rules to be a boring fighter, unfortunately. Okay? And Pantoja is a living representative of that. The pressure is on. Do something because you're losing fans. All right? I mean, they've even talked about getting rid of the division because it's just a boring division and there's no eyes on it. There's no attraction to it. Okay? And no one seems to be able to take that belt off of Pantoja, who is extremely boring. So Dana White and Hunter Campbell and Mick Maynard and all of them went deep into their pocket, deep into their resources, okay? And I'm sure this conversation sounded something like exactly what the thumbnail reads. We need a new champion now. And then Mick Maynard being like, I have an idea, boss. So that's my argument. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think that this is no accident that they're bringing in this fighter, that this is his first fight in the UFC and he's already getting a title shot? I mean, even Alex Pereira didn't get that, right? And look what a huge star and a huge draw he has become in the UFC since he's been in here. He didn't get a title shot his first fight. Even he had to work his way to the top, right? You got a couple of one-offs here and there, like, Michael Chandler was able to come in and kind of fight close to the top. But even then, he's fighting a number 5 ranked Dan Hooker. That's completely different than Kai Asakura coming in and getting the champion right out of the gate. The real question is Kai Asakura going to be able to stay on his feet in this fight? Now, I'm not going to do a breakdown of the fight, but I just wanted to throw this out there. There is a reason they are doing this the way they are doing it, and it is because they are in fear for losing and continuing to lose fans of the sport due to these boring, only ground attack sort of fighters. And here's the thing. They're not going to be able to do this over and over and over and over. Every once in a while, just a perfect opportunity will present itself, like Brock Lesnar back in the day. Perfect opportunity. The guy had millions of eyes on him already from WWE, so obviously everyone was watching when they heard he was going to go into the UFC and do a real fight, okay? Kai Asakura is bringing a whole country of eyeballs with him. He's a huge star over in Japan. This kind of opportunity doesn't come along very often. Okay, and they're not going to be able to continue to do this in every case. So I think moving forward, just like I mentioned in my other video, they are going to be looking to implement some sort of rule set, something. Give us some soccer rules. You're making everybody fall asleep. Here's a red card. You get a point deducted. Do you think I'm reading too much into this, or do you believe that my take on this is pretty spot on? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video. I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.